1, 2, ready, go. Alright, help me out right here. I am sorry. Yes, we do have some dad jokes at the end. We did a little bit of goofing around. Glad to have you with us. It is May 5, which in my book is Cinco de Mayo. Here's a little graphic for that. Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May, 2024. Sunday night. Glad to have you with us again here tonight. Last Sunday night, we had a little bit of a software, hardware problem, and we got that sorted through. I want you to know that I appreciate your patience. I did not lose any data at all. It was a hard drive configuration problem, and me being the new YouTuber that I am, non-tech, I have a lot of stuff that I have to keep up with, and these files get to be so large. So it was time to kind of revamp and restructure the hardware system that I'm running on, which is all PC. It's not Mac, and I don't really keep track of that. Anyway, I put that video up on Sunday night as a little placeholder, and we got that done. I also uploaded a little bit of a video for Thursday night to kind of explain my side of the story. Remember, there's always two sides to every story. Some of this other stuff that you've heard out there is simply not true, and I appreciate that. The number one thing that I learned coming off of that and the overwhelming response that I got was thank you very much. It was very nice. Most of you stuck around. That was a very long video. Most of the response that I got was, Dan, just keep being Dan, keep on going. Don't worry about that. Everybody has seen this kind of garbage in the past. I'm not sure why, but there are people out there who are just intending to hate, and they live lives of hatred and things like that. So I'm not going to dwell on any of that. I'm going to keep on going and doing what I do. I appreciate your support and your being here. We're trying to lower the general aviation fatal accident rate. I think we're doing it all together. We're doing that. So that's the last I'm going to mention any of that other stuff. It's gone. It's over with. Throw me a bone here. None of that stuff is true. And we're going to simply press on. I appreciate your comments and your support through all of that. We do have a few dad jokes at the very end. They're not very good, and I'll admit they're kind of cheesy. We'll put them at the very end in case you want to turn this thing off and not have to suffer through those at the very end. They are kind of fun to make, and we enjoy doing a little bit of those. So if we get it done and edited it up in time here tonight, we'll put a few dad jokes at the very end. I'm going to jump right in here to some general information here on the channel, what we're doing here. Most of my stuff here, most of my emphasis is general aviation in the United States, trying to lower the general aviation fatal accident rate. We haven't talked much about ag, crop duster, spray plane type stuff, but that is a very important aspect of it. You know, the crop dusters are in their own little world, Part 137. They have their own rules, their own deal, and we have to have them. The crop dusters and spray people out there are doing a fabulous job in making sure that things get seeded and sprayed and all those things that you have to do to crops in order for them to come out right so that we can have food on our table. The crop dusters, it is a hot, dirty, long day job to go do that. So far in America, we have had 2 crop duster fatals in the year 2024, which is actually good. We should be at about 4 or 5 by now. The spray season is up and going, and all those crop dusters are out there continuously spraying right now. The first one was in California. I won't go into the details on that, but I'm not really sure what happened. Very talented, well-liked individual ended up upside down on his crop duster. The crash didn't hurt him, but he ended up upside down, trapped in his canopy in water. I think he drowned. The second one just happened April 26 out in Montana, I believe. I'll put this little video news clip here, just a short segment of it. This is originally it was marked as a public use. I can't find now whether they're still calling this public use or ag or what they're calling this. But anyway, it was a helicopter spraying grass seed in Montana, and something happened. Our deepest respects and condolences to that family. The spray pilot was the only one on board in that airplane. That helicopter crashed. And here's the news clip from that segment out there.
A helicopter crashed near Anaconda's landmark smelter stack as it was doing remediation work for the Atlantic Richfield Company along this mountainside.
Yeah, unfortunately this morning we had a major tragedy here in our community.
The pilot of a Bell 206 helicopter, the one shown in this video taken earlier this week, was killed after his helicopter went down about 7:45 in the morning on April 26th in this hilly area just south of town. Officials say the male pilot was the only occupant in the helicopter.
You know, I talked a little bit in last Sunday night's very quick video. I put up that real quick 3-minute placeholder video. Public use, I'm telling you a little bit about public use. Public use is a government operation. The government has this operation, you know, you and I have to have pilot's license, medicals, and annuals, and all that kind of thing. The government can operate their airplanes under what they call public use, which means there are no rules. They can do whatever they want to do. Lots of times, sheriff's departments, helicopters, military spray planes, things like that are all under a classification called government use. You may not have ever heard of it before, but public use means there are no rules for them. They can kind of do what they want to. They still have to do enough maintenance and certification and things like that to be safe and not kill themselves, but it's still public use. It's under a totally different category. The rule is there are no rules. If it's public use, anything goes. I want to show you a clip of a helicopter. This is a public use helicopter and a public use helicopter pilot who came down over a crowd here, and look at what he's doing here. I'm going to show this clip here. This is appalling. This is a sheriff's helicopter over a crowd in Ohio at a football game. This is a tailgate party. I'll just shut up and let you watch this video. Look at what he stirs up and look at the damage he does. There was injuries off of this flight. This helicopter, this turbine helicopter, came low over this crowd for the purpose of stirring things up, and boy, did he stir things up. You know, I keep track of these general aviation fatal accidents as they occur one by one. So far for the year 2024, we're at 34 general aviation fatal accidents. I get to a lot of them. I don't get to all of them by any means. The one in Augusta, Georgia, this is some of the debris off the crash site from the A36 in Augusta. So we were just there. That crash happened on Thursday morning. We were there Saturday morning. Just 48 hours after impact is when we were there. The site was totally cleaned up. There's no yellow tape. It's an open neighborhood. You can drive, you can walk, you can pick up whatever you want to off the ground. I collect some of this kind of stuff, not for proving anything necessarily, but I throw a little index card with it just to show that I was there. I took the time to go there. We're going to talk a little bit about that A36 crash because we have some absolutely critical information. I think I figured out what happened in Augusta, Georgia in that A36. We're going to get to that when we get to the monthly totals here in just a moment. Horrible crash, and here's some of the debris from that crash site that I brought back here. Interesting that the NTSB is done and gone in less than 48 hours after impact, and it's totally cleaned up and not anything left there, and the whole entire scene is open to the public. Keep that in mind for the Hayburn discussion that we're about to have here in just a few minutes.
You got to stick to the facts.
I want to stick to the facts, Juan. I was out there after NTSB was done.
You keep changing your story.
I was out there after the NTSB was done and gone.
That is not what's in the NTSB report. Read back again. You're misreading the report.
Juan, how could I get that light if it was still on the roof? The tower and the light were laying off in the junkyard. The airplane was gone. Look at my video. Everything is done and cleaned up and gone when I was there.
You're wrong. You're absolutely 100% wrong.
Tell me how. Tell me how. How could I even get access to that light if it was still on the roof?
Look at the report. What does the report say, Dan?
I just got back from Baltimore. I went up there to speak to a little college that has a flight department, thing like that. CCBC. I even got a free mug out of the deal. They gave me a little coffee cup, which is fine. I do all this speaking engagement stuff. I go and travel at least a couple times a month. I went up there and spoke. If you want to see the video of that, it's about 90 minutes long, and I condensed it. I shot it live on YouTube, so that live video is still on there, but it's got a lot of fluff in it, and it's got all the breaks and things like that. So I uploaded the condensed version. That's on my channel right now. If you want to watch, this is a very good sketch here on what AQP is. And if you notice, I'm standing out there in front of all these flight students. I speak for 90 minutes straight with no notes, no PowerPoint, no anything. I can talk straight to the kids, make it entertaining, make it engaging, and get my point across in less than 90 minutes. I've done this speech so many times, I don't need to memorize it. I don't need notes. I don't need anything. I don't need a teleprompter. I can just simply stand up there and explain it and make it engaging. If you'd like for me to come up to your college, your flight school, I'd love to tell you about AQP. You're going to see AQP. Not only is it a lifesaver for you general aviation guys out there trying to fly and stay alive in your airplanes, but you guys that are in flight schools and want to stay in a flight school and go on and get a 121 job or a 135 job, something like that, you're definitely going to hear about AQP at some point anyway. You might as well learn about it now. Go ahead and watch that 90-minute video if you can, and give me some feedback on that if you'd like to. That is a really good video. It actually came out. I shot it vertical, and I didn't mean to, so my apologies for that. Obviously, I'm not very tech, and I never thought about it when YouTube kicked on the live and it was in horizontal. I just kind of went with it, and that was that. Let's take a look at the total number for what we got so far. General aviation fatal accidents rate typically over the past forever have been between 18 and 20 per month. 18 to 20 general aviation fatal accidents per month sketched out over the year. Currently, as of today, Cinco de Mayo, May 5, 2024, we're at 8.23. We're down significantly. We ended up the year 2023. At the end of 2023, we were once again down. We have been stair-stepping in a very linear, scaled fashion down. I am trying to get down below 13 for the month, or 13 per month for the year 2024. We've only got 1/3 of the year done right now, but I'm trying to get down below 13. Everything that you've got to do with cost, insurance, availability, everything, flight training, gas, cost of fuel, everything has to do with this general aviation fatal accident rate. We could do ourselves a huge favor by not crashing airplanes and not killing ourselves. There really is no reason to be doing the same exact repeatable mistakes over and over again. I know you've heard it from me before. It's been a broken record. 8.23 is where we're at as of today, unless one of you guys want to go out and kill yourself before midnight tonight. 8.23. That's spread out over 366 days of 2024 and categorized per month. So I've prorated that right down to the day. That's kind of the number that I'm looking at. That's really my only barometer. Are we flying more or flying less? I think we're flying more. I think we're flying more and having less fatals. Lots of reasons for that, but whatever it is, I'll take it. I want you guys to pay attention, be ready for those things. Take a look at that video. It's about AQP. It's about what's about to happen to you in your little tiny itty-bitty fledgling general aviation piece of garbage thin airplane. It's going to happen to you. I promise one of these scenarios is going to happen to you. Real quick, I'm going to put the schedule up on the board here. This is in Word document. It's kind of cheesy, but I just got back from Baltimore up there at that school. And then May 8th, I'm up in Battleground, Washington, at a dinner function up there. May 9th, this is the evening function. That's in Aurora, Washington, or Oregon, and that's the Columbia Aviation Flying Club up there. That's May 10th. I'll be flying all day long. May 10th, the evening, that's a Friday night, 7 p.m. I'll be at Victor 23 from about 5 to 8 p.m., something like that. No cost to get in. It's just a meet and greet and having fun. May 17th, I'll be at Moontown in the evening, staying overnight. May 18th is the Moontown. That's Huntsville, Alabama. That's their fly-in. May 19th, May 25 is the morning is the 5K at KFHB. That's my friend down there that runs that, and a great opportunity. I'll put the website up here for you. That's May 25. Not positive I can make it to that yet. June 4th, I'll be at EAA number 22 in Rockford, Illinois, speaking up there. And then June 11th is my birthday here in Hampton, Georgia. No official plans. We're just going to kind of hang out at the airport, have a little bit of dinner, probably play banjo and have some fun. June 15th, I'll be up at KMZZ. That's some friends of mine up in Indiana. I'll be up there for the day and for the evening and have some fun up there doing an AQP presentation. July 13th at noon, Alabama. This is 5 Romeo 1. It's an EAA chapter, and there's the graphic for that. I do a lot of this kind of stuff. I put a lot of work in these videos. I want to ask for your support. If I'm on target and you appreciate what I'm doing, your contribution towards my effort is greatly appreciated. $1 or $2 is totally fine. Don't break the bank on this. It's not worth it. If you can, that's fine. And if you cannot, that is totally fine. Here's the methods of doing that: Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. Each one of those is totally secure, and if you give me $1 on Venmo, it comes straight to me, and I actually get 100% of your $1. It's kind of like going to a restaurant and getting a waiter or waitress that does a really nice job, and you give them a tip. 10% is not required. Don't go crazy on this, but if I had enough people support me with $1 or $2, it would greatly help the cause. Not only is this expensive to go travel to these places and all the things that I got to do, I don't take in any money for this. I don't have sponsorships. I don't have advertising. And if I travel, I don't get paid. When I was up here at Baltimore, I got a slice of pizza out of the deal. That's it, but it's totally worth it. And I appreciate your support on that. Please consider doing that. And we're going to press on here. Let's get on to the next topic. Speaking of AQP, I'm going to show you a video of a PA-28140. This is near to my heart because that's what Dylan's flying. Here's a student pilot who made a takeoff, had a loss of thrust on takeoff. Watch him pull this elevator back. I'm going to show it to you twice while I'm talking to you here. Here he is on takeoff. He's pulling the elevator back. This airplane actually mushes the stalls. This kid actually survived this thing. Let me show you the entire clip in its entirety without me talking here. So being conditioned in the time of crisis to do the right thing, we are at 34 for the month. I'm going to give them to you here. Here's January on the board. In January, we had 11 of them. So far for the year, we're at 34. January was 11. February, we did really good. We only had 4. In the month of March, we had 9. And then in April, I'm going to talk about just a few of these in April. We added one at the very, very end of April. We had 9 of them in the month of April. I'm going to talk about number 3 on the list. This is the PA-28161 up in Indiana. This is a Purdue student. Very, very sad situation. Still no conclusion on here, but there's a lot of things that don't add up, specifically the flight path. This airplane had no autopilot. It's a Piper Warrior. This student went out and flew circles and went and gained altitude and flew around quite a bit. The accident happened on a Wednesday night and did not get reported until Thursday night. I'm not sure why still that happened. The final flight path was definitely flown by human hands, wings level, straight into the ground from a long ways out. It went wings level. If you let go of a Piper Warrior in flight and don't put your hands on it like you're unconscious, it's going to roll to the left or to the right, and it's not going to fly this kind of a path. This aircraft definitely was guided all the way in by human hands. Why? I don't know. All I'm saying is that it's entirely possible. Right now, anything is entirely possible. The individual, I'll put his name up here now because it has been released. His name was Alexander Foss. He was 20 years old. Extremely bright, well-liked, well-loved kid. A horrible story. Whatever happened, I don't know what happened. A horrible story. That was up at Purdue. And then the next one I'm going to talk about here is the in-flight breakups. We had 2 of them, one on the 12th and one on the 16th. Both of them Pipers, although it's unrelated. It doesn't really matter what kind of airplane you're in. If you fly your airplane into convective activity, you're going to take it apart. Both of these airplanes got taken apart in flight by convective activity. Your airplane cannot stand that kind of a turbulence and that kind of G-load. It will pull a wing or a tail off of it, and you are along for the ride. You will be alive all the way to impact. What a horrible, horrible way to go, knowing that it's over. It probably takes you several minutes to reach the earth. I can't imagine. Please don't do that. You stay out of the weather. I'm going to tell you, stay out of the weather. Let's take a look at the last one. This is on the 30th of April, November 6271 Fox. This is a Zenith CO1 up in Indiana. I looked at the flight path on this thing. The guy's name was Bill Bidnauer. He was 81 years old. And, every time one of these accidents happen, I have somebody from around the country calls me and wants to talk about this. You all know from the chat room and all this kind of stuff, a lady named Miss Randy. She's a personal friend of mine, although I've never met her. and she called me immediately. This happened just a few miles from our house, so I actually did a Zoom call. Ms. Randy went to the crash site. She took a look at this. All the airplane was together. Nothing fell off of it. The canopy was on it. It hit very, very hard, almost straight nose down, straight into the ground. The last flight aware date on this thing, they were coming from another location, and the airspeed, the altitude is constant and the speed is decreasing. It kind of looks like a stall or something to me, but both of these guys that were on board were both pilots. This looks like a DMMS failure. They let it get slow. Spin recovery, they probably had enough room to get this thing out if they'd done a spin recovery. However, it just didn't happen and the thing hit. Our deepest respects and condolences to that family and friends up there in Indiana. A horrible loss. Let's do this Zoom call. I'm going to show you a little bit of who Miss Randy is right here. Well, every now and then you get a little special treat, and this is sure a special one for me. I have with me on the screen here one of my dearest friends here from across the country. This is Miss Randy. You might have seen her name in some of the chats. I got so many friends and helpers and followers around the country that have helped me with this thing. Ms. Randy, I want to say thank you and my appreciation to you. You and I have been friends, although we've never met. We've been internet friends, and you've helped with so much stuff. And you happen to be living how many miles away from this crash site, this Zenith that crashed up in Indiana just a few days ago? How far are you from that crash site?
Just a little over 6 miles. It wasn't very far. It was straight east.
Yes. Well, anyway, thank you, Miss Randy, for all your support, and tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a pilot for a long time. I was, gosh, when did I get my license? It's been so many years ago. Even though I don't have a lot of hours, I've always been involved in aviation because my dad, he kind of drugged me into it because he was a B-17 pilot in World War II.
Wow.
And then, yeah, 33 missions, and it was really cool. Our 34th was a flight out of Elkhart here in a sentimental journey in the B-17.
Wow.
And years ago when we was kids, he had a little Cherokee 180, and we'd go do what we called ups and downs. We pull the yoke back, and we go up and then push forward and watch stuff float off the instrument column.
Yes. And now you're a builder too. You tinker with airplanes and build airplanes. You got a hangar, and tell me a little bit about that stuff.
Yes, I have a hangar at 3C1. It's Mishawaka Pilots Club here in Elkhart County. And I have a CGS Hawk. It's from Merlin Aerospace. And I'm working on getting their airworthiness straightened out right now so I can get it in the air. I bought it from a gentleman over in Illinois. And FSDO has given me a hard time about the ABA paperwork.
Gotcha. Well, you called me and you sent me some pictures, and I appreciate your input. You know, whenever an unfortunate, tragic, fatal accident happens around the country, my phone normally rings within 30 or 40 minutes, and somebody someplace finds me and starts calling and gives me the inside information. Most of the time they want to remain anonymous, but in this particular case, this crash happened kind of in your backyard. You called me right away. So tell me a little bit about this. You actually went to the crash site and took some pictures.
I did. I was trying to find out what happened with these two gentlemen because both of them were very experienced. Ray had over 1,500 hours in the plane. He built it back 27 years ago, and it was coming on to an anniversary in July from the builder's date for the airworthiness certificate being issued. And then his friend Bill was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. I'm sure he had some regular airplane hours, not
Right.
sure of that. And so I went over to the crash site to try and figure out what was going on. Then the night of the crash, the sheriff's department had still locked the area off. It landed in the back of a couple's home. They have 4 acres, and it was in the back of their property on County Road 21. So I couldn't get in there that evening, and Bristol Fire Department went in and extricated the bodies, and then NTSB and FAA went in the next day, and let's see, Wednesday they had started pulling the wreckage. I got in there after the plane was pulled.
Right. But you saw the impact path, and you saw the the place where it hit, did this impact look like the airplane landed, or did it come out of the sky kind of vertical?
It looks like it came out of the sky vertical. I was looking for downed tree limbs, and there's a pine tree right beside where the impact point was, and all I could find was little branches like about 6 inches in diameter of pine needles, but no big branches. So it came down at a clear spot right in the back of this property, and it landed nose first because the impact site on the ground is the size of a cowl, and it's about 1 foot deep. And then behind that spot, the plane came down and then fell over on its top.
Right.
And I've supplied a picture of that.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. I'm showing that on the screen right now for people
Excellent.
that are looking. But the flight aware path on this thing showed that they were on a little mini cross country. They came from an airport, I think, a little bit east of you, went back, and the last known data point, they were about 2,500 feet, but the airplane was slowing and slowing and slowing. I don't know, there wasn't anything erratic about this. It looked like a normal flight, except that they were slowing down. Now, we also talked about the canopy on this thing. You've seen the wreckage after they got it back to the hangar. It's already been released. There's no further investigation on that. The canopy was still on the airplane when it hit. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I understand. When I went to the Elkhart Airport where they had taken the plane, I talked to an individual there, and he said the canopy was still on the plane. I figured since it landed and then rolled on its top, there might have broken the acrylic or whatever that plastic polycarbonate is, and there would be shards. I found nothing on the ground other than 2 pieces of fiberglass from the cowl. And other than that, they did a really good job of cleaning it up.
Right. And I want to clarify here, you've used the word landed a couple times. The airplane didn't really land.
No, it went down straight into the ground.
Straight into the ground. So a landing kind of dissipates energy in a horizontal path. Typically, this one, in your estimation, this one crashed. This was a vertical, non-survivable impact. And I know you've done a lot of work with reaching out to other people in the area. You, from what I understand, you did not personally know either one of these gentlemen.
No, I did not know of them until the accident happened. And then I started reaching out to people. I said, do you know these people? And they were really well known in the area, and they were involved in the Napanee EAA down there, and very well known.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, Randy, again for all your help. And
hey, Dan, I have a present for you.
Okay. Oh, a coffee cup? Here, do it again. Put it up there again. Go ahead, hand it down to me. There you go. Thank you. It looks like it looks like you handed me a coffee cup on the internet.
Outstanding. I love it.
So that brings us to this one. This is the Bonanza over in Augusta. We just went over there on Saturday morning, and I'm going to show you the drone footage of this here and on scene here. This airplane was a quarter share operation. The guy that died, his name was Jason McKenzie. He was 1/4 owner. They've only had this airplane since last October. The other 2 guys in the partnership were not pilots, so the only 2 pilots in here were the ones that were flying it. A great airplane. I'm showing you a picture of the panel right here. This airplane was flown by Jason. He had about 800 hours, and he was commercial for single. He had a significant amount of experience. However, here's what I think happened on this thing. This airplane took off on runway 5 from Augusta Daniel Field. It made a general sweeping left-hand turn. I'm going to let you listen to the audio from the doorbell camera that was inside the semicircle of the path that this thing made. The engine was definitely running and producing power, I believe. It was at least definitely producing RPM. It made a semicircle around this doorbell camera, and you can hear the impact at the very end. Listen for the 2 distinct explosions. The first one is hitting the tree. The second one is hitting the ground. Listen to this. So we were there. We took the time and trouble to go there. I think this is a DMMS failure in combination with an abnormal that was not handled appropriately. Let's take a look at the quick drone footage. I'll show you the scene right here. This is where we were yesterday morning over here in Augusta, Georgia. It was Thursday, May 2, about 7:13 a.m. in the morning. The Bonanza, an A36. This is not a turbo. This is a Tornado Alley turbo normalized Bonanza. Made a takeoff on runway 5 at Augusta's Daniel Field and ended up right here. I'm at the spot. There's still lots of debris, broken branches, and pieces of the airplane laying right here. I want to show you the arrival path. This is either a rotot or this is a distraction after takeoff. I'm going to give you my best guess, but Dylan and I are out here. We're going to show you the drone footage. A horrible loss of life. This is Jason McKenzie, who was flying the airplane. Jason had about 800 hours total time, commercial pilot, and Jason was a fairly experienced pilot, and he was quarter owner in this particular airplane. Now, when the airplane came through the tops of the trees here, you have to think about this. This airplane took off from runway 5 at Augusta Daniel Field. Took off from runway 5. It made a left-hand turn, a continuing left-hand turn. I'm going to show you the graphic here where Jason could have gone. Guess what? Straight ahead was the Augusta National Golf Course. Several golf courses in alignment. Gear up, full flaps into a golf course would have been the ticket. I don't know that this was an engine problem. I'm going to let you listen to the audio of this thing right here. The prop was definitely making 2,700 RPM. I don't know how much actual thrust it was making, but this airplane did turn around. It tried to get back to the field. On the radio, Jason is heard saying, "I'm coming back." There was definitely a problem after takeoff. "I'm coming back." Okay, why? Why are you coming back? That's either a door that came open, or my prediction is this is a DMMS fatal, probably caused by a distraction, but this airplane definitely stalled. It got left wing down. It came through the tops of this tree, left wing down, and then it hit. The very first impact point of the airplane was right about here. The propeller hit right here, went across the street, but this airplane hit nose down hard. The angle from the tops of this tree, where this thing came through here, is about 45 degrees down. It came straight down. It came straight down to the tops of this tree right here. Propeller hits right here, goes across the street. The rest of the airplane hits right here, and it's over. Horrible, horrible crash. Lots of debris left on the ground, broken branches. I've already picked up a lot of the airplane pieces, burnt metal, burnt everything on the ground here. It's too early to tell. I'm going to tell you my best guess right now. This is a defined minimum maneuverable speed. This is a rotot. This is an attempt to turn around. It definitely had a problem. It definitely turned around. I'm telling you, don't turn around. Jason would be alive today if he'd gone straight ahead and tore up Augusta National. That's what I would have done. I'm not even a golfer. Go straight ahead and put it in the golf course and tear up their green. So what? It would have worked. The whole thing is horrible. I'm going to show you the graphic for the turn. This is a big turn. This is a big left-hand turn that he made to get it to come through the tops of this tree. I think the left wing stalled first, and when it stalled, this is where she went right here. When it hit here, it's over. There's no way to survive that. Our respects and condolences to the McKenzie family. A horrible loss. I hope that we can all learn once again the finality of your decision, of you being prepared for what you have to do. Take this thing straight ahead and take your lumps, take it straight into the golf course. We can fix the green. We got dirt. We can fix that green. We can't get Jason back, and that's the horrible thing on this. I want you to learn off this. These pieces laying out here today, these broken branches, these pieces, this is something that we can all learn from off this. I'm sorry to have to report on this, but we did come over here to Augusta, Georgia to show this, and I appreciate the help and support from the people here who have helped me get here and take a look at this. It's for our benefit. Let's get back to what we're doing here. It's Sunday night. Let's get back to our normal broadcast. You know, the crazy thing is, in the last 11 and 12 years, I don't have the number exactly in front of me, but I did look it up here the other day. There's been, in the last 10 or 11 years, 13,000 investigations by the NTSB. Every time an accident like this happens, Jason's accident, the NTSB goes there, they send people there, they collect up everything, they collect the airplane. It takes 3 years to produce a report. Guess what? In the last 13,000 investigations, how many recommendations, in the last 13,000 investigations, how many recommendations has the NTSB turned up for us and produced? Well, here's the answer. It's exactly 13. I don't understand. Why are we going to these accident investigations and spending all this time and trouble to produce all those reports when there is no recommendation ever produced? 13. I'm not talking 1,300. I'm talking about a total of 13 recommendations for general aviation in the United States. We got to be doing better than that. What's a recommendation? Well, first of all, the NTSB is non-authoritative. They get all the ability to go to these places and do this stuff. Even if they produce a recommendation, nobody has to go by it. It is not law. It's not a mandate. It's a recommendation. Most of the time, the FAA takes those NTSB recommendations and they throw them in the trash anyway. The NTSB's recommendation policy and procedures here is completely flawed. We should be learning something off of each accident and producing some kind of a general recommendation, like don't stall your airplane. Don't do that. You should carry more fuel. Here's our recommendation. We recommend that you carry more fuel on your flight. Give us some kind of a recommendation, 1-in-1. The ratio should be 1-to-1. For each accident that you take the time to investigate should be a probable cause and a recommendation. Even if you made the same recommendation 500 times, it should go hand in hand. A probable cause with a recommendation. I'm going to talk about this Hayburn thing coming up. This is the Cessna 208 crash. I'm a little bit disappointed in Blanco Lirio. I'm not going to talk bad about him. I like Blanco. He's an okay guy for being California, but he produced a video about this, and the main thing I have is that Blanco made this comment on somebody else's YouTube channel, and here's what he said. He said, interfering with an ongoing FAA and TSB investigation like this is inexcusable. The light and condition is vital to the investigation and will be a major part of ongoing litigation. Doing stupid, childish stunts like this represents the worst of social media. JB, well, I tried to contact JB, and he was very difficult to get a hold of. He did not want to talk. He did not want to Zoom. He was hard to reach. I finally got a hold of him, but it's like talking to a wall. He wanted to know about the timeline. Well, I already told you the timeline. Here's the timeline. The accident happened. The wreckage is on the roof. The NTSB and FAA are there. They do their whole thing, and they get cleaned up long after the airplane was removed from the roof, long after the roof was repaired, long after the smokestack was taken down and stored in a public junk area with no yellow tape, no trespass, no anything. That's where I found it, and I secured the light, and I made sure it got to the appropriate people, and it did get to the appropriate people. You can't tell Juan that. He does not want to hear it. That is the timeline. He sends me this text. Even after this fact, he wants to know the timeline. Well, the timeline is the crash happened. NTSB was there. Dan was there long after that. Let me ask you this. Is there one single picture of the tower or the light in the NTSB document? Is there one? Did they even take the time to photograph it? They had plenty of time to secure that light if they wanted to. They did not. I made sure that that light did not get stolen or lost, I made sure that that light was secure, and I got it to the proper people, and it is in the hands of the proper people today. Let's listen to the short interview with Juan Brown that did not go very good. Juan Brown got a little bit unprofessional. He uses a lot of bad language, and he screams. This is all I can let you hear of it right here before it went totally downhill, and I can't play the rest of it. But Juan doesn't want to have any part of the truth.
You got to stick to the facts.
I want to stick to the facts, Juan. I was out there after NTSB was done.
You keep changing your story.
I was out there after the NTSB was done and gone.
That is not what's in the NTSB report. Read back again. You're misreading the report.
Juan, how could I get that light if it was still on the roof? The tower and the light were laying off in the junkyard. The airplane was gone. Look at my video. Everything is done and cleaned up and gone when I was there.
You're wrong. You're absolutely 100% wrong.
Tell me how. Tell me how. How could I even get access to that light if it was still on the roof?
Look at the report. What does the report say, Dan?
Now, you know, I did produce a video recently that has to do with Hayburn. I'm going to show you. I worked directly with the family on this. The family is extremely appreciative. I'm going to show you inside this video. This is a section from a previously released video. I'll show you. I know this is all going way too long. You don't want to see all this. This has to do with Hayburn. Let me play this. Let me replay this one section. If you've already seen it, it'll only last a few minutes. This has to do with Hayburn, and the whole problem here. This company, the potato company, the city, the town, and the people out there are completely crooked. They did everything wrong. They were not supposed to do what they did. They applied, actually they did not apply. They just put the smokestack up, and then later on they filled out the application. FAA said, no, it's a hazard. Then they came back and asked to raise it, and FAA said, it might be possible to raise it if you do these things. They wrote to them, and they told them that they could, maybe if they did these things. None of that stuff ever got done. Nothing ever got done. Brittany hit the tower because she was on the approach. She was exactly on it. She followed the glide path. She couldn't see. She was visual. She left MDA because she was visual. I'm sorry I get a little bit fired up over this. I'm going to play Juan Brown's segment again after this is over, but real quick, let's listen to this segment. This has to do with the Cessna 208 out in Hayburn, Idaho, from April of 2 years ago right now. This has to do with the Cessna 208 crash in Hayburn, Idaho. And yes, I did go out there. I made this video. I want to show it to you on the screen here. If you get a chance to go look at it. This video has got 2,300 comments, all of them in strong support of everything that I did. And I'm going to give you the backstory on what I actually did and what the truth is on this matter as we go forward here. So let's get into part 2. This is a 3-part video. You told me you wanted to watch this. You're the one that wanted to know all about Dan's personal life. You're the one that turns your YouTube on, so you're stuck. Here you go. This is Cessna 208 from Hayburn, Idaho, the potato plant, and here's the information that you got to have. You know, I did go out there to the crash site. It was long after the airplane was off the roof and the offending tower. Now, to recap here and bring you up to speed, this is a potato plant in Hayburn, Idaho. The entire town and the entire county counts on this potato plant for all of their revenue, their employment, their economic activity, their livelihood is all surrounded by this one potato plant who is huge, huge employer. This is the lifeblood of that town and that county is Gem State Processing that processes somewhere around 2 million pounds of potatoes per day. The airplane was flying. This is Brittany Infanger. I never met her. I never knew her family. I still haven't met her family, although I have become very good friends with Jim, Bob, and Sharon. That's Brittany's parents. They very much appreciated everything that I did. I went out there. What the amazing thing was that, and I just now found out in the NTSB doc at the end, there is no pictures of the tower or the light. Everything that they did out here, I'm going to get into this whole thing. The potato plant simply put this smokestack up. It's directly in the path. The IFR approach, they put this smokestack, they called it an agglomerate stack. EPA gave the minimum height that it had to be. FAA gave the maximum height that it could be. The potato people just did what they wanted to do. They put it up wherever they wanted to go. The airport is at Burley. Hayburn and Burley are twin cities only separated by the Snake River. The FAA turned off federal funding to Burley, Idaho for non-compliance. There was nothing about that airport or the approach that was in compliance. The city of Hayburn and Gem State, everybody knew. There was everybody out there that had already complained to the FAA that this tower was directly on the approach. It was not lighted. It was not painted. It was not proper. The IFR approach was still in place. It was a certified IFR approach in place with obstructions sticking up directly into the flight path. Brittany didn't hit that potato plant because she was a bad pilot. She hit it because she was a good pilot. She was dead nuts on that approach course. Did she see the airport and have enough information to leave MDA? Of course she did. I went out there and flew the thing. I can tell you, looking at the ground is white, the clouds are white, the visibility is white, the smokestack, the tower is white, gray. It's got lights on it, but Brittany's accident was during the day. You can't see the lights, and there's no warning. There's nothing on the approach plate. Those stacks were not even marked on the approach plate to let you know. They weren't in the terrain database, and if you followed the Garmin G1000 advisory glide slope for the approach. If you follow the advisory glide slope, which you're not supposed to do IFR, it's a visual thing, but most pilots follow a general recommendation for keeping that visual glide slope nailed. She followed the glide slope down for a standard stabilized approach, and unbeknownst to her, at the last second, she went IMC, probably released steam, but she could not see that tower, and she didn't know it was there. You couldn't see the lights. I got a copy of all the court stuff on this thing. I'm going to read a couple things to you here. I'm going to put them on the screen here and click through them here. But this has to do with the work that I did out there. You want to talk about me impeding an investigation. I'm kind of disappointed a little bit with Blanco Lirio. He doesn't understand. I went out there, and yes, I absolutely was livid over what I found and what I saw. I didn't bring the light back with me, but I made sure that the light got back to me, and I did make a video. That is definitely the light, and the light is front and center now in this investigation. If you look in the NTSB report, all they say is that they couldn't investigate it because the light was stolen. Well, the police department did make a quick phone call to me, but that is not what we talked about. Guess what? City of Hayburn is liars. City of Burley is liars. The city management is liars. The city attorney is liars. They're full of liars, and you can see all the lies in their documents and their depositions. They contradict each other, and I'm going to prove that to you. Did they call me? Yes. I told them square up. I had the light. I made sure that I secured the light for safekeeping. It's evidence. We have to have it. They left it laying out there abandoned. They abandoned the light and the tower, and I made sure it was secure. It is in the possession. It has been seen, examined, and looked at by everybody at this point. I didn't steal the light. There was only $94 in the first place. It was the wrong light. It was not proper. They didn't have any of the data. That you ought to see the stuff. The whole thing was improper. But I went out there. I made sure that the light was secured for the actual investigation. Remember, there's 2 investigations. NTSB does theirs. Nothing happens. Whatever they find can't be used in court. Now, the real investigation is occurring. This second investigation is occurring because of my video. I made a video that inspired a law firm and an individual to take this case and see the merits of why this is so critical. And I'm very happy with the law firm. My buddy Bruce, who's running that entire thing out there, an extremely talented pilot attorney, and his firm has left no stone unturned. I'm very happy. I have, on my own, got copies of the motions, the depositions, and everything that has occurred. My light that I secured is available to be viewed by the NTSB anytime they want it, and they know it. Absolutely. This light is front and center, and I'm going to talk all about that. Let's talk about the motion that the attorney just filed last week. This is a motion that he filed to kick up the stakes on this thing to include punitive damages. You can only include punitive damages when it can be proved that the allegations are egregious, full of intent, that they had prior knowledge, and that they were careless, and that they did this on purpose. Then punitive damages come into play. So this motion has been filed. I'm going to read to you from this document here. This is under Part G, unfunded, unqualified misrepresentation of the FAA. Capping the malicious and various misrepresentations of Burley city employee to the FAA is a letter written by Burley Director of Economic Development, Doug Manning, on January 8, 2015, when FAA was considering the hazards presented to Gem State exhaust stacks. Mr. Manning wrote an email to the FAA Supervisor of Obstruction Evaluation Report, Robert Hustant, stating that we also feel that the proposed stack extension will present no significant hazard regarding flight in or out of the airport, which is Exhibit 90. Emphasis added. He testified it was probably Mr. Minton who told him to write the email. Exhibit D, Manning 3/14/24 manuscript. This is all in the deposition. He wrote the email within the scope of his employment as Director of Economic Development for the City of Burley, and the letter is part of the business records of the City of Burley. The only persons he talked to about the stack extensions was Mr. Minton, and the only document he reviewed was the proposed extension from Gem State. He did not talk to anyone at Gem State, the Idaho Department of Transportation, the City of Hebron, the County of Minidoka, or the FAA prior to writing the email. When asked what was the basis of his opinion that the stacks would not present a hazard to flights, he stated, "I don't think there was one." Mr. Manning agreed that he was not an expert on aviation or the hazards to aviation or heights of exhaust stacks. When asked if he was giving an opinion on something he knew nothing about, he replied, "I often do. Yeah, yes, sir. I guess in this case I am." And he added he was giving his opinion to the benefit of the city of Burley economically because that was his job. This guy's telling you right straight up front, they're paying him to lie to the FAA. He was asked to write an email to the FAA and tell him everything's good. FAA had later shut off, this was in 2015 and 2017, FAA shut off the funding to the Burley Airport. This is the airport where Brittany was going, just a few hundred yards across the river. She hit the smokestack that they put up that nobody knew about. The whole thing is crazy. I'm going to go on and read something out of the deposition here, put this on your screen. And this is from the person who installed the lights. And here's the question. Now, this is my friend Bruce asking the question in deposition. Were the stacks, including agglomerate, ever marked in any way? Answer, marked as in what kind of marking? FAA required marking? Not that I'm aware of. Question, in fact, they weren't painted at all, were they? Answer, no, not that I'm aware of, no. Question, at the time you were there, you never saw those stacks, the 6 and 1, ever painted? No, they were never painted. Now here's the rest of this thing. Were the stacks, including agglomerate, ever marked in any way? Marked in what kind of marking? FAA required marking, not that I'm aware of. In fact, they weren't painted at all, were they? No, not that I'm aware of, no. At the time you were there, you never saw those stacks, the 6 and the 1 ever painted. No, they were never painted. How did you know you needed to replace the lights? Here's the next question. You get onto the lights here. How did you know that you needed to replace the lights? His answer, I drove to the plant every day, Monday through Friday at 5 in the morning. It's pretty hard not to see. So this is Bruce asking, you visually checked every day? Yes. And if you saw one out, which means not functioning, you replaced it? Answer, I replaced it. Question by Mr. Lambert, when you went to the plant at 5 in the morning, was it still dark? Usually, yes. Let me ask you this. When you see whether those lights are working or not during the daylight, can you see whether those lights are working or not during the daylight? No. It was hard as heck. Hard as heck to see them in the daytime. Yes, I checked them when I went out on random stuff to get parts in town, and you couldn't tell whether they were on or off. You couldn't tell whether they were on or off. During the daytime? He's asking, you can't tell whether they're on or off during the day? Answer, during the daytime. Okay, that's all I have. Appreciate you being here. He answered in deposition, you can't see the light during the day. The entire document that we have shows that the towers were not painted. They weren't on the approach chart. They were too tall. They did not have the proper lights. They didn't have strobes. Everything about this was wrong, and they knew about it. FAA knew about it. City of Burley knew about it. Hebron knew about it. The city manager knew about it. The county manager knew about it. And Gem State Processing knew about it. They were just rolling the dice every day that nobody was going to hit their magnificent tower. That's all it is that happened out there. At the very end, the attorney for Gem State asks one question, and I'll read it to you here. It says, I just have a couple quick clarifying questions in regard to this light. That's the one that I brought back here because it was laying on the table to make sure I understand your testimony. You said that, if I heard you correct, that this looked like the type of light that was put up. Is that correct? Answer, yes. Now, this is the same guy. Do you know, as you sit here today, whether this is the model of the actual light that would have been used on those stacks? Answer, it looks close to what we used, but I couldn't tell you if it was the same exact make, model, and type. His answer, he concludes, all right, that's all I have. He wants to get it on record that the guy can't say whether or not my light is the light. Of course it's the light. They don't want it to be the light. That's how come your guy that called me is making up all this kind of stuff, trying to throw mud on whether or not this is the light. Of course it's the light. It's caked in potato stuff. It's glazed over. That particular light wasn't even properly hooked up. There is no way. It's a red light. You can't see red during the daylight. This is City of Burley, City of Hebron. All these people out there scrambling to manufacture things. They're absolutely doing things wrong. impede an investigation, Mr. Blanco. I caused one to happen. Here's the thank you note that Jim Bob sent to me here just the other day as we get ready to work on this part 2 of this. I didn't impede an investigation. I caused one, and he wanted to thank me for that. Brittany's headstone reads, I want to say that I've given it my all. I gained a greater love for others and a deeper love for my Savior. And this is written from her missionary journal where she served in England. This is Jim Bob's note to me. Dear Dan, though we have never met in person, the Infinger family wants to thank you for your efforts in bringing out the truth for our daughter, Brittany's accident. The fatal accident was April 13, 2022. We see you have recently put your video back on your channel. We appreciate the thousands of comments to us from your followers. Our goal is to bring this to the public in hopes that public pressure will force parties involved to adhere to obstruction regulations near all airports. We pray for all pilots' safety, especially at KBYI, which is Burley, Idaho, and pray changes will happen before another innocent pilot dies. We live with the loss of our talented, beautiful pilot every day. We thank you for your analysis, your publication of video. Pilots are safer because of your efforts. Bless our friends on your channel. God lives. Jesus is the Christ. Jim Bob and Sharon Infinger. Yes, I messed with their light, but I had a reason, and I've still got a reason. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I had to protect that. It's going to be front and center. It is where it's supposed to be. It is in proper care. It has been logged in. It is an exhibit, and it's available for anybody to see. I made sure that light got to where it was supposed to be, and I had to do it. I'm not going to say any more about the Infinger trial here yet, but I want you to know that I am going to cover this in detail. This is going to be a jury trial. This is critical. This whole thing is absolutely critical. I want you to think about who Dan is. Sometimes I don't know why I do the things that I do. I have to go do this. I have to. Nobody else is going to do this. Blanco Lario and Dan Milliken are going to sit in their chairs and collect sponsorship money for never going anywhere and never taking a stand and never doing anything. That's what the deal is. I think that's why they hate me so much. Am I making a difference? I kind of feel like I probably am. There's been quite a few cases that I've absolutely been able to steer in the correct direction. I'm not a government guy. I'm a free enterprise guy. I think that our government has a tremendous amount of lying and corruption in it, and we're about to talk about that in the next section. So now that you've seen that, once Juan posted his deal, I did try to reach out to him. Juan never attempted to reach out to me to ask what the timeline was. Never attempted. I sent him this thing here. Of course, he deleted it. I said, Juan, I'm requesting a recorded Zoom call with you. You have some things very wrong, and I think we should talk through the actual status. I agree to play it unedited start to finish, but I got some questions for you. Your alignment with an agenda is obvious to me, but I'd like to hear you out. I'm taking a screen grab of this post, and I will publish it. This with it. I'm extending my offer and my right hand. I think we should sort this out man to man. If you have anything to say, I want to hear it. Please call to schedule. And this was as far as he's got. Now, as far as alignment, I can tell you Juan Brown is purely aligned with Dan Milliken. That is obvious. And Milliken is working with and totally aligned with Charles Cook. So now it's three peas in a pod. Charles Cook, Dan Milliken, and Juan Brown are all together. Yes, they're against me. I'm going to tell you the truth here on this thing. I am totally glad that we secured that light. It is in the proper hands. We are going to get a jury trial in Boise over this, and we are going to protect Brittany. Brittany cannot speak for herself. I am totally happy with everything I did. Brittany cannot speak for herself. We know what happened out there. This was an atrocity, and I hope that the jury eventually sees this. I'm going to really beat this up in the coming months on what the real deal was in all the depositions and all the court proceedings on all of this stuff. You're not going to believe it, but this entire town, this county, and this potato plant are entirely culpable for all of this. We had a DC-4 crash up in Alaska here a couple of weeks ago. I talked a little bit about this on Sunday night. I still don't know what the deal is. It looks like it might possibly have been structural problem when the number one engine left the airplane. That's entirely possible. The guy's last words were, "Tell him I love him, tell him I love him." Here's the radar track from him. I'm going to let you listen to the very, very final of this thing so you can hear it yourself. Tell him I love him. I don't know if he stalled it trying to turn around or if the number one engine, when it left, did something to the aileron that pulled it hard to the left. Can't tell. I don't know. We may never know. Here's that segment and the flight track.
Tower 305, will get will be returning to field. Alright, let's get down on the ground, get in the field.
Tuesday, Southwest, Mr. Roger, and engine HQ refining system. Do you want runway 2?
Yes, we'll have a, yes, we'll retire.
Okay, Roger, and do you have amount of number of fuel on board and people?
Fuel on board, 1,400.
Transit completion, left heading 020.
Yeah, my love, man. Yeah, my love.
So that's all I got for today. I'm really sorry to drag all this stuff in. I want to tune and refocus my efforts here. I'm not going to get involved in any of that Dan Milliken stuff. They can do whatever they want to. I know what the truth is. I'm going to keep on giving it to you straight. I'm going to keep on feeding you the data, the accidents. We're going to lower this general aviation fatal accident rate. I'm not going to get involved in any of that kind of tabloid drama stuff out there. It's completely ridiculous. It's counter to anyone's productivity, and I, for one, am not going to be involved. I appreciate your support and your help on this. Once again, here's the methods that you can slide me a dollar or two if you want to. If not, that's totally fine. Mostly, I just want you to stay alive out there. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. All right, we're done. There's a few dad jokes here. I know you've hung around here. Now's your time to check out if you don't want to hear them, but we're going to put these at the very end of this thing, and I appreciate you sticking around. For my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Ryder, probable cause. Dylan, that's really, though, that's the one good thing about you.
What's that?
I'm trying to think of one good thing about you.
What's crazier than a talking dog?
I don't know.
A spelling bee.
Dylan, have you ever seen any elephants hiding in any of these trees around here?
Nope.
That's how good they are. Somebody told me one time to embrace your mistakes.
Do you want a hug or something? Do you have a fishing license?
Why would I want to drive a fish? Sorry. Do it again.
That's pretty good.
I made some fish tacos last night, but they didn't seem to like it. I'm thinking about starting to write all my own dad jokes.
You are.
Mm-hmm. You want me to try one out on you?
Go ahead.
Two girls walk into a bar.
Was that it?
As far as I've got so far.
There you go.
Good.
I had a lot of potential for that one.